Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. Today I just wanted to focus on boundaries. Basically how boundaries has helped me in my journey, as well as like how to create boundaries, and then, knowing what boundaries are. I think the thing about a lot of people in just in relationships in general, whether it be like family, friends, or romantic relationships, we don't necessarily know how to create or establish boundaries, and especially with people that you're, close with, just because, you already have this relationship with them. And then, the thing about boundaries is that boundaries, it can cause a lot of confusion, and it can also cause a lot of just angst and added pressure and stress, because people often think, when you're setting boundaries, it's kind of like one of those like hard truths of what you are willing to do, what are you're willing to take, and things like that, as far as like being treated and things like that. So I think the thing about it is that, it's something that people are not too familiar with, and especially people who don't really know healthy ways of going about things in relationships, and just like navigating through life in general. So with me, I was never really taught growing up how to establish boundaries. Boundaries weren't really a thing, and especially like in my family, we just kind of grew up with different things going on, and then when it comes to like family, it's weird, because you have to kind of listen to what your parents are saying, and they give you all of the knowledge and things like that, on like how to speak, what not to do, what things you should do, and things like that. So boundaries were never like a thing, and I grew up in a kind of like Hispanic household, so it's like a lot of the preconceived notions within the culture, and the traditions, kind of intertwine within that. And so it's kind of like, how do you navigate through that and then create boundaries? But I didn't start learning about how to create boundaries until I was an adult. I'll say a few years ago, back when I turned 30. I was beginning my healing journey at that point, and there were a lot of things that I did not understand about myself, about how to establish healthy boundaries, what things I was willing to give, what things I was willing to sacrifice, what things I was willing to just take. So the thing about it was, and I would read self-help books, self-healing books, spiritual books, things like that, watch YouTube videos on how to create boundaries with people and things like that. And so it was really eye-opening, because the thing about boundaries is it makes people uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable setting boundaries, but it's also very uncomfortable for the person, who is basically on the receiving end. Hear that, these are your boundaries. These aren't what you're going to take. This is what you're going to do. And so, trying to navigate through that, but trying to do it in a healthy way. And the thing about it is, a lot of people don't realize that, boundaries are set for a reason. Boundaries aren't there to, just make people feel bad. They're there to, protect you, to, honor you in a way, because it sets it sets this, I don't want to say standard, but it sets a standard on what you're willing to take and what you're willing to do. And so, you know, trying to establish boundaries in like my relationships, it was I'd say it's different when you're going into a relationship where someone is already familiar about boundaries and how to set them. When you're in a relationship to where, you know, you're trying to establish boundaries and then you're trying to explain to people, you know, these are my boundaries, and they have no way of like, you know, knowing what boundaries are, you know, or how to even set boundaries, or they've been doing things in a way to where it's not healthy, it could be very hard. And that's what I learned, you know, trying to set boundaries with like my family, for instance. You know, I got into, you know, there's been several conversations I've gotten into, you know, with my mom and, you know, my parents and things like that, on things that I would not do and things I would not take, because I was in a healing journey process, and you know, that was just something that I had to, you know, learn and do and establish. Therapy definitely helped me do that. Therapy, you know, made me feel reassured that, you know, the things that you want, the things that you need to set for yourself is for your protection. So, you know, it was very hard trying to create boundaries, you know, with my family, first and foremost, and then trying to take boundaries and create boundaries in my relationships. This past relationship was very hard because I had a partner that had no like sense of like boundaries and things like that. And so I basically had to, you know, say, hey, these are my boundaries. You know, this is what I'm willing to do. This is what I won't take. This is what I won't put up with. And you just have to, you know, you can't be blunt, obviously, but you know, you have a conversation with people, you have, you know, in a healthy manner, you let them know, you know, hey, you know, let's sit down, let's do this, let's talk about this. And then you ask them, you know, what boundaries they would like to create, you know? And so I just kind of navigate it like that. It's not, boundaries aren't meant to like push people away. It's not meant to harm other people. It's to protect you and them. And so it's just how you create healthy relationships. And in that, you know, with setting boundaries, you know, you have, you know, things that like expectations, you have things that where, you know, people are meeting you where you are, you're having healthy conversations, you're doing all of these things in order to create and establish healthy relationships. And for me, you know, that's what boundaries are there for. So, you know, like in this past relationship, you know, I tried my hardest to, you know, be firm on things that I created as far as my boundaries and things I would not take. In the end, we all know what happened. But you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, I'm going to like stand down on my boundaries. I'm going to, you know, just, you know, make myself change, you know, the way that I move through life because of how things ended up in my last relationship. And that's very important for me because I oftentimes, before my healing journey, I would go and say, you know, oh, you know, I wasn't enough for this person. I wasn't doing this for this person. You know, this person thinks that I'm too much. They think that I'm this. I'm not doing that. Because going into that relationship, I was on my healing journey, and I came out still on my healing journey, trying to do things as healthy as possible. So, and sometimes it's like that, but you know, boundaries are very important. Boundaries help, you know, with mental health. It helps people understand, you know, where you're at, and then where they're at as well, and then where you can both kind of like meet in the middle. And so I go and I say that with, you know, just, you know, grace and, you know, peace and love and things. You know, set boundaries, create boundaries, let people know where you are and what you will take and what you'll stand for. Because, you know, if you're not doing that, then relationships can't last. They can't be healthy. They can't, you know, thrive, you know. And so that's definitely one of the things that I've taken out of this past relationship I was in. You know, and even with like friends and things like that, I've definitely had conversations with my friends to where I'm telling them, you know, hey, I'm not doing that. Like, no, this is who I am. I'm not doing that. You know, I have a boundary. So, you know, take it as it comes. Try to create healthy ways of living, healthy boundaries, having healthy conversations. You know, just be healthy. I guess. But yeah, guys, this was another video. I'm gonna go ahead and call it, and you know, I'll see you in the next video. Like and subscribe. If not, that's great. If you do, great. All right, guys, stay beautiful, stay you.